morning, everybody. It's so good to be back, and I just want to start by saying thank you to everybody who donated to my trip and who is praying for me, because it could not have been made possible without you. So thank you so much. This trip was honestly like the best 5 months of my entire life. It was so impactful, and God really moved, and I'm just so thankful and grateful to be able to do it. How it kind of worked was I had a lecture phase where I spent 3 months just digging into the Word, hearing lectures every day, just learning a lot more about God, more about His character. The theme of the school is know God and make Him known. So the first 3 months was knowing God, and then the last 2 months was making Him known. So during the school, they gave us an option of Egypt or Brazil for our outreach location, and I spent a lot of time in prayer, and it's a long story, but basically God made it very clear to me that I was supposed to go to Egypt. So at first this was really hard for me because I made some really close friends, and I prayed to God. I was like, can I just have one of my friends, just one, come with me to Egypt? And I had 7 of them, and he didn't, they all went to Brazil, so it was very difficult for me. I was really ripped out of my comfort zone, but it was I had this strong dependency and reliance on the people around me. So when things went wrong, they were the first ones I went to. They were the first ones I leaned on, and I really felt God telling me that He wanted to be the first person I leaned to. He wanted to be the first person that I ran to when things went wrong, and He wanted to be my comfort. So I was ripped out of my comfort zone. For the first 2 weeks, I was just like, what is happening? The culture shock from Switzerland to Egypt was crazy. They're complete opposite countries. So. But one thing about Egypt is it's 90 to 90% Muslim, 90 to 95% Muslim. So it's just really difficult going into that country, and it's technically illegal to share the gospel, and not a lot of people wanted prayer. And so it was hard for me. The spiritual atmosphere was very heavy. There was a lot of oppression. It was hard, but God taught me a lot. He really taught me how to depend on Him and how He wanted to be my comfort. We had a lot of ministries. We went to a lot of ministries. A lot of them were kids' ministries, which I loved, just spending time with the kids. We went to girls' orphanage and boys' orphanage, and we spent a lot of time with the Sudanese, which I'm going to talk about. But first, one testimony that God really did in Egypt was at some point our team really felt led to do this prayer burn where we spent 24 hours and we fasted and we prayed. And each hour was a different topic, a different ministry that we were praying over, and really just seeking and asking what was God's heart for this nation, what was God's heart for what He wanted to do in this nation. And we saw a lot of fruit from that. So right after we did that, we did this clinic where there's this other team there that was from Kona, Hawaii, and they were running a medical clinic, and we were invited to go and just pray over people. So after every single client got treated, we would pray for healing over them. And we saw a lot of fruit. During those 3 days we did the clinic, we saw over 50 healings. It was amazing. It was amazing. So some of those healings, I saw blind people get healed. There's 2 blind people that got radically healed. There was a man that had a stroke, and the whole left side of his body was completely paralyzed, and he was healed from that. That's a Sudanese baby. So cute. I saw somebody who had a broken leg, and their bone was literally sticking out of their leg and got healed radically. And it was just incredible to see, just to be in this place, to be in Egypt and see all these healings, and just seeing how the power of prayer and how prayer really works, and how God is so faithful to us all the time. And it was just beautiful. And we also saw a lot of fruit from that prayer burn when we did our Sudanese home visits. The Sudanese, they're refugees from the war. They came to Egypt for refuge, and they're really broken because they have so many family members who were killed, who were tortured, who were captured in Sudan, and they just have no hope. And a lot of them are actually Christians, and it was just really sad to see them who were actually Christians just have zero hope, and they had to make a long journey through the desert with their kids to try to get to Egypt, and they're very broken. And a lot of the husbands and fathers actually were killed and captured, and honestly a lot of the homes were left without husbands and without fathers, and it was just really hard. And so it was really hard for me to sit in their home and try to encourage them as somebody who comes from this background. And they know I come from this background. So it's really hard to sit in their home and try to bring the love of God to them. But after this prayer burn, like, we were really able to, like, have God's heart for these people. And we were really able to invite the Holy Spirit into each home that we went to, and we're able to encourage them. And it brought so much joy and so much fruit and just so much happiness into their lives. And I'm just so thankful for that. And we could not do it in our own strength. We could only do it through him. So that was just a testimony for me that I saw it. It was really powerful. And yeah, I have some statistics, actually. It's kind of funny. After each night of ministry, we would come back and we'd like say how many people we prayed for and how many people we ministered to. So we ministered to 2,103 people, which was amazing. We had a team of 13 people. You have to understand this is a Muslim country, so a lot of times when we ask people for prayer, they're like, no. But we were able to pray for 862 people, which I'm so thankful for. We also saw 19 salvations, which is honestly really impactful because these people, if they convert from Muslim to Christianity, they could be killed. So a lot of them were like, I understand what you're saying, and it's very beautiful, but I don't want my husband to kill me. Like, that's how it was. Like, so seeing 19 salvations was actually just like, it was just so beautiful, so powerful. And yeah, we saw 55 people healed. Yeah, it was just amazing. It was an amazing experience. And I was also able to read the whole Bible while I was there, and just going through the Old Testament and reading the Old Testament while being in Egypt and while talking to these people it was amazing. And so God really showed his faithfulness. He really showed the power of prayer. And I just encourage all of you to pray for closed nations because they need prayer. And being there and just being surrounded by Muslims and not a single Christian, I was just like I didn't know what to do with myself. And they really need prayer. So I encourage you to pray for closed nations. And yeah, thank you so much for everything.